Back in southern Indiana, it's kind of the epicenter of Indiana basketball, and look forward to talking to the folks about basketball and what went on this last season, which has been pretty good across the board in athletics. So be happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
Has it translated in any tangible ways in terms of more demand for tickets, donations, things like that? What the team did last year?
Basketball-wise,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Hoosier Nation's excited. You know, it's a hot ticket and a lot of interest in that. And then, fortunately, it's cut across the whole program. You know, there's been a lot of interest in football. We've already sold as many season football tickets to this point this year as we did all of last year. And we're one of only 10 programs in the country that had a football team go to a bowl game, and both men's and women's basketball teams qualify for the NCAAs. It's only the second time it's happened in IU history, so we feel like we've got some momentum across the department, and it is translating into fan interest.
Any updates on the Assembly Hall renovations and how that's coming along?
Yeah, I was just over there today. It's really cool. I don't want to oversell it, but I'm not sure you can. I think it's going to be something our fans are really excited about. It's a very fan-centered renovation, so comforts of home like concession stands and restrooms are almost doubling the number of restrooms. All the restrooms will be remodeled. The brand new entryway will be a wow piece, giant LED screens. We'll be incorporating some historic pieces of former venues into the building. So I think it's going to be something that our fans will really be excited about, including a brand new gigantic jumbotron, replacing all the non-bleacher seats. Sometimes I would think those kind of permeable seats and what grossness had seeped into them over the last 40 years, those are all out. So I think from top to bottom it will be a great experience for our fans.
And that'll be done when? October
That'll be done this fall, and I don't know if we've announced it yet, but the dedication will be on October 14th with homecoming weekend for football.
Do you like how the non-conference basketball schedule is starting to come together?
Yeah, I think we'll find out where we are fairly early. So I think our fans will enjoy the competition and who we're playing, and I'm excited about that. You know, we want to run with the big dogs, and that's what we'll be doing.
Coming off a Big Ten title season, how do you measure success, in a repeat effort?
Yeah, well, we sort of staked out success a couple years ago that we want to perennially contend for Big Ten championships, and we want to go deep in the tournament and ultimately contend for national championships. And last year, I think certainly by that measure, it was a successful year. Second outright Big Ten championship in 4 years. We beat a Kentucky team that a lot of people were picking as a dark horse to win it all, and then a really good North Carolina team had to play really, really well, in my view, to beat us. So I think we're there with the programs that are legitimately competing for national championships, and I think we're continuing a positive trajectory that way.
This is an issue question, but I know there's some concern about all the transfers now going on in all college sports, particularly basketball and football. Is there anything that can be done to address that, and what could you do?
Well, I guess I'm enough of a lawyer that I see both sides of the issue. And on the one hand, I think an environment where it's pure free agency and everybody's moving around is probably impacts negatively on the game. On the other hand, I think more student-athlete freedom to make choices is the direction that we ought to be generally going. And I think the days, at least at Indiana, of limiting choice of kids or writing off schools they can go to, I think are gone and ought to be gone. So, I think it's a balance, but I tend to err on the side of giving more choice and more freedom to the students themselves.
And what about, in particular, the senior transfers, where the instant eligibility, that type thing? Is that a good thing? Would you like it to go away, or you just embrace it? And obviously, it worked with Max.
Right. Well, again, I get the downside of it, the free agency concept and all that. But if a kid graduates, that's kind of what we want them to do, and I think they've kind of earned their right to move around, especially if a university decides they don't want to continue to pay for their education. So in cases where institutions have said, love you, but we're not going to extend your grant and aid, I think all bets ought to be off. Kids should be able to do whatever they want. Maybe if the institutions continue to stand behind the kid and say the grant of aid will extend, maybe there should be some more hoops. That might make sense. But I think generally, when a kid's graduated, they ought to get the fruits of their labor.
About Thomas's decision to come back, were you surprised by that?
Thomas's?
Yeah, not even to test the. Everybody else seemed to go to the combine in Chicago. He was one of
Yeah.
the few that didn't.
Yeah, yeah. A little bit. Yeah, I think I was, but he's just such a great kid, and I think he's really enjoying the college experience. And I think that's a very mature decision to say, you know what, it doesn't really matter what's going on over here. I like where I am here and now, and I think it's can be rare for people that have options or could have options to make a decision that no, college is a kind of a once in a lifetime deal. I'm gonna take another lap around the track, kind of an Andrew Luck kind of thing. I think that's a good decision. On the other hand, if a young person wants to go out and do that, I don't begrudge them that. I think in my view, what's good for the students is good for us, and I'd rather them choose to come back than somehow be kind of pushed to do that or have it be a default decision.
Anything else?
Thanks, Fred.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Fred.
Fred, appreciate
Thank you. Thank